Hello, welcome to our open house. We are your STEM teachers. I am Miss Kim Chindani.
I'm Heather Dewar.
And I'm Nathan Harvey. And this year so far in STEM, we've done a lot of we've covered a lot of different topics and a lot of different areas. Currently, we're doing a project on historical figures in space history, whether that's an astronomer or an astronaut or someone else that studies space or contributes to space science. But we've also done a lot of different topics and covered a lot of different things from natural disasters to genetics to paleontology, dinosaurs, space, Mars, a lot of different things. And as we end the year, we'll be diving into things like forensics, as well as learning about different jobs and careers in the STEM field. We started our year with natural disasters, and what they did with this was they chose a natural disaster, whether that was an earthquake, volcano, floods, droughts, famines, tornadoes, tsunami, hurricanes, or wildfires. They chose one of those things, and then they looked at really the four components of STEM, which are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so they looked at how those fields play out within the natural disaster. And so for something like technology, they looked at what kind of tracking or preventative measures do we use to track and prevent hurricanes, or what type of engineering do we have that prevents tornado damage or hurricane damage. Things like that are really what we wanted them to look through look through lenses of STEM at a natural disaster, because they are fascinating phenomenon, and they do cause a lot of damage, but there's a lot of engineering components that can go into either eliminating some of the damage or reducing the costs of it. We then moved into ecology and ecosystems when we learned about things like adaptations and trophic levels, population densities, food webs, and sustainabilities. And so in the examples of student work, we put in a couple of the examples of a project that they chose adaptations for a animal based on a rolling of a dice. And so they had to make that animal's habitat and where it would survive and how it would thrive based on the adaptations that it has. So there are some really fun examples that got created just based on random dice luck. We also talked about food webs and how those operate and how the energy is through those, as well. Talked about population densities and sustainability, and how those function in ecosystems around the world.
Which brought us to our next unit, which is biomedical engineering and genetics. We did use an online platform that supported our technology part for this unit. They had to do a lot with genetics and mutations and traits and trait extinction, and they worked through this program to support those topics. And then we moved into paleontology, which they had to do a geological timeline. They had to do some research on some fossils and how those are recorded, what tools that they needed to use. We used a numbers file for this, and they had to do a lot of work on investigating what tools, how our tools have evolved over the years, and how the paleontologists did their research and what that looked like in STEM using all of those four core units.
From paleontology, we kind of went into dinosaurs, which we know is a large interest for most people, including the three of us. So during this whole unit, students had to build their own dinosaur park. And this really required a lot of planning on the students and a lot of research and understanding of dinosaurs and living things, and just how do you plan such an amusement park. So they had to make a map using a key, and you see we have two very detailed ones here that show how they would use the available space to their advantage. They had to research the dinosaurs that they would put in there and see kind of how would they interact, what space would they require, how would they contain the dinosaurs, what were their food requirements that they need to provide them, and then some enrichment opportunities for the dinosaurs to keep them happy and active within their exhibit. And then they last had to appeal to the visitors coming to them through a visitor's guide to talk about just kind of the attractions and then important information for visitors to know. And this was a very long project that yielded some really great results from the students. After that, we moved into space exploration, which was a very big jump. But this was to kind of hit the 2020 Mars rover that landed this year on Mars. So throughout this, some of the topics that we explored were the ancient study of stars. So kind of where were the beginnings of the study of stars, the race to space, some solar system explorations, telescopes, spacecrafts, the 2020 Mars rover. And then at the very end, we hit some conspiracy theories, and we're currently in our notable figures part of this unit. So you'll see we had the students study some of the different tools that are used on some of the space explorations, looked at missions and the launch years that they did that. And then this is where we got to do a little bit more hands-on. Students got to build a rover and then build a landing system in which they had to land a marble on a target. So that was a lot of fun as well.
And as we end the year, we will kind of end it and wrap it up with looking at forensics and look at forensic sciences, things like DNA, fingerprinting, and how it's used in today's world. As far as your students moving into CHS 9 and next year, they do have the opportunity to take programs of study directly related to STEM. And so those would be courses like Principles of Applied Engineering, which is part of the STEM field of study, or Fundamentals of Computer Science or Computer Science 1. For more information on that, you can go to the CTE website. That's the Career and Technical Education, but www.coppellisd.com/CTE will give you all those fields of, or programs of study, including the STEM program of study as well. And then one little thing we want to hit on upon grades. If you're noticing that you or your student grades are dropping and not coming up quickly, not submitting assignments and work is usually the quickest way for that to happen. If they stay up to date on their assignments and every single day are in that Schoology course, knowing what's going on, then they're going to do really well. But your grades are updated at IPR. So we have 2 of those IPRs, and then we have report cards, and those are updated in both Schoology and Hack during those times. If you need to reach out to us or have questions, our emails are on the bottom left. Please reach out to us with any questions that we have. We're happy to answer them, but we hope that you guys have enjoyed this, that you've had a great year, and we look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future.